Welcome. It's so great to see all of you. I'm Cindy Hassel from SRO Events, and I've been producing events for, well, let's just say a really long time. And leading our tech team today is my partner, McDonald from Pixelwerks. Mike has been providing audiovisual services and innovating in that arena for over 30 years.
Hi, thank you, Cindy. Together we created Virtual Adventure to meet the demand for elevated virtual events, in particular fundraising events, which is an area in which we are particularly familiar with from our in-person event practices. When COVID hit, everyone postponed their fundraising events, expecting to just wait it out a couple of months until the pandemic went away. But as the year went on, it became evident that we were in for the long haul.
So, what's a nonprofit to do? In-person events, particularly galas and dinners, are their lifeblood. Nonprofits need to stay in front of their supporters because we can't go out and we can't gather, so why not go virtual? Today our goal is to give you a better working knowledge about what goes into producing a successful virtual fundraiser, or to give you information to build on virtual experiences you may have already had. Here's what we're going to cover. Why do a virtual fundraiser? Where do you start? Content creation? What is streaming? What is a platform? What equipment and what expertise is involved? Promotion and registration, good ideas and best practices, and of course, costs. We will be joined today by some of our favorite virtual fundraiser clients and partners to share their perspective and expertise. They are John Magoulas, Director of Development for Camp Ramah in California. John is a client that recently did a fabulous and successful virtual fundraising event with us. We have Scherr Lillico, President of the Proper Image Events. Scherr is both a client and a special events professional. We have Scott Solomon of Mobile Cause. Mobile Cause is a leader in fundraising software. Mobile Cause has extended their services into the virtual arena with products to enhance virtual events and drive contributions. Next, we have Les Gould from Les Gould Video Production. Les is our master storyteller. He will talk about how to tell your story. And finally, Ryan Amon from Design Sound, whose studio we are in today. Ryan's going to give us a quick tour. Instead of pushing today's event out as a webinar, which is basically a one-way stream, we chose to do this as a Zoom meeting because of the interactive nature of Zoom. Look, I can actually see all of you. Ha. Turn your cameras on. Hi, Jonathan Reeves, how are you? Okay, so we are going to be sending an outline for your reference after the broadcast, and a recording will be available in the future. We encourage you to watch in speaker or full screen mode, and the chat is available for comments and questions. We are going to hold questions until the end, and if you have a question, we will bring you actually in live to ask and discuss your question. You can also put questions in the chat. So let's get to it. Why do a virtual fundraiser? Fundraising events in general are designed to keep us top of mind with supporters and, of course, to raise money. So let's bring in John Magoulas from Camp Ramah in California. Oh, there he is. Hi, John. You just did a wonderful fundraiser. What were the major factors in Camp Ramah in California decision to go virtual for their 2020 gala, and how did it turn out?
Thank you, Cindy, and we appreciate the partnership with you. You and I have had a long partnership, and again, with Michael this year, and I've also worked with Les for several years, and really grateful to each one of you. But this past year of COVID, working in development for camp, was a different year. It's been probably one of the hardest years in my work in philanthropy in over 20 years. So not only sustaining and keeping our donors engaged, our gala raises between 20 and 25% of our fundraising budget each year. So it was not a question that we knew we needed to still continue to do that in December. It was just finding who the right partners would be to help us make it go virtual. And even the long history I had with you, we still did our homework, but we came back and by no question made the right decision to work with you and Mike on this project.
So, John, what was the most difficult part of planning a virtual fundraiser?
Our donors are really engaged and want to be involved. I would say the hardest part for me as somebody that's very detail oriented was letting things go and let you and Michael and Les handle it, and having to build that trust and partnership. And I think through the years of our work, but then even more so through the past 6 months that we worked together on the virtual event, that trust happened, and I was able to let go more and more as we got closer to the event.
Oh, John, thank you so much. It's such a joy working with Camp Ramah and his whole team. So here are key reasons to produce a virtual fundraiser. Virtual fundraising events are a way to engage supporters collectively, especially since we can't meet in person. They are a way to spotlight specific programs, needs, or messaging for your organization. They are an opportunity to expand reach because there's no geographic bounds. And they are a way to create multiple uses for the media you produce. They are generally less expensive to produce than in-person events, such as a gala dinner, but they do cost. And of course, you need them to raise money. So where do you start? When someone is just beginning to think about doing a virtual fundraiser, the first question we are asked is, where do we start? And we always say it starts with a story. Every nonprofit has a story. Why were they formed? What is the mission of the organization? How have the nonprofit's programs pivoted during COVID? What is the current situation of the organization? And I have to tell you, we've been blown away by the creativity of our nonprofit clients as they pivot with their programs. They're holding virtual summer camp. They have established food banks and are feeding hundreds of people a week. These are all stories that need to be told. Your gala honoree's relationship to your organization or their personal journey is a story, and these stories become your content. You need to think of this as creating a television show and not a gala dinner. You don't have cocktails, we don't have hors d'oeuvres, we don't have a meal, we have no hugs, we have no handshakes. Instead, we have up to 1 hour to keep people engaged, and you have a series of chapters that need to be woven together into this engaging show. So I'd like to bring in live our master storyteller, Les Gould. Come on in, Les. And I'm going to step away and be socially distanced.
Good morning, Cindy. And let me just turn and say good morning to all of you, and thank you for spending a little of your morning with us.
So, Les.
Yes.
When someone wants to create a compelling story, where do they start?
That's a great question. And, you know, there's this old adage that applies to anybody who's giving a presentation before a group of people. And that adage is that the number one rule is to know your audience. And you have a distinct advantage because you already do know your audience. They're not just random people who tuned in, but they're people who are there because they want to be there and they've been invited to be there. And unlike a television show that is beamed into everybody's living room, this is not a broadcast, this is a narrowcast. The first step in the process is to ask questions. And just like anything in life, when you ask good questions, you get good answers, and that sets you on a good path. And the number one question I always like to start with is, what do you want your audience to get? What is the takeaway that you want your audience to have from watching your video? And the second question, which is tied to the first question, is how do you want your audience to respond? And when you recognize the answers to those two questions, the video can be tailored to meet your objectives. So here's some ideas, and this is what makes for a great video. Tell a story that engages and resonates with your audience. You always want your audience to say, yeah, I get it. I can relate to that. Everybody loves a success story. Now, some elements of a success story are transformation, where a situation goes from absolutely horrible to magnificent. For example, a person is living under some adverse conditions, perhaps not even through his own fault. He overcomes those obstacles, and it's the classic underdog story. And everybody roots for the underdog. Another thing to keep in mind is be specific, okay? This is your story, not a generic story. So make it yours and make it unique. And last but not least, always, always make room for humor in your videos. And I'll give you an example. Last year, John Magoulas and I, you met John a minute ago, John Magoulas and I made a video on the topic of mental health. And actually not just mental health, but mental health pertaining to teenagers and young people of college age. And it was a very serious and heavy topic, as you can imagine. However, we found opportunities to introduce humor, some really good humor, into the video, not just for the sake of being funny, but for the sake of driving home a point. And it did, and it worked, and people remembered those videos. It's been over a year, and people from time to time still comment to me about those videos because they remember them for their uniqueness and for some of the humor that was introduced into the videos. And finally, and actually this should actually be moved to the top of the list, and that is whatever you do, don't be dull or cliche. There is no room for dull or cliche in a video or even in this world. If you want dull and cliche, come with me to my in-laws' house for Thanksgiving. That's dull and cliche. Don't have dull and cliche in your videos. Okay, so the nuts and bolts, the mechanics of making a video. Ideally, a video should be multifaceted and layered and have a variety of media elements. For example, B-roll, photos, old video, archaic material, music. Music is such an important element. It adds so much emotion and texture to a piece. You can also use voiceover. All these elements can be used to support the message that is being conveyed. Also use a variety of people in your video, not just one person delivering a message, but a variety of people, each with a different point of view. And remember, this is a collaborative effort. There's a lot of communication between us, a lot of brainstorming, and a very efficient way of doing things is we map things out on paper first. And once we're all on board with the plan, then we get to work. And the result is a product where you control the message and you get the results that you desire. And Cindy, if I have your permission, I'll now go backstage where I'm far more comfortable.
Thank you, Les.
Thank you all.
Les is a lot of fun to work with, I gotta tell you. Anyways, since we are thinking about this as a television show, you want to grab them right from the beginning with something interesting, dramatic, humorous, musical, or emotional. For example, we opened this virtual event for the Los Angeles Boys and Girls Club emphasizing the quiet, empty gym.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Andre Reed. I've been a professional football player for most of my life, and I know the importance of supporting our kids to help them grow strong, keep them healthy, and travel the right path. This evening, we're in an empty gymnasium. It's usually full of happy, smiling, fun-loving kids having a great time playing basketball, exercising, or dancing. That's not the case at this time at the Boys and Girls Club of Los Angeles. So tonight we come together virtually in support of this tremendous organization.
So now that you have their attention, continue to build the story with additional interesting or emotional pieces. So here's another example from the Boys and Girls Club of Los Angeles.
Every week, an average of 200 families receive bags of groceries through the Los Angeles Boys and Girls Club Food Bank. This represents a 400% increase in the number of people coming to the club for help with food. With our volunteers and partner organizations, the Los Angeles Boys and Girls Club brings hope to people in need.
Save the best for last, your guest speaker or your entertainment, and then end strong with something to drive that point home. Speech after speech after speech can generally become a snooze fest, but you can add visual interest to someone's speech by adding video content. Les alluded to this, and we're going to show this to you. Take still photos to emphasize their points. And by the way, a great video editor can be your best friend here. And don't be afraid to re-edit existing content. So here's an example of images over speech for existing material.
Now, many of you know our amazing chair, Ellen Brown, but I bet you did not know that she is a poet. Take a listen. You may need a Kleenex.
At 7 a.m., may we hear the sounds of campers stirring from their night's sleep, the boys throwing on the same shirt as the day before, and the girls borrowing something new to wear from a friend. At 8, may we see our chanichim bounding for the Hadar Ochel, excited to start their day. It's noisy in there, but it's the best kind of noise there is.
So we're going to give you some more content ideas. Not all of these are going to fit your event, and these are in no particular order. Host interface. When a host acts as the thread that keeps everything together and moving, we call it host interface. The host can be live, remote, or live in a studio. In this case that we're going to show you, our host was live remote from his office at Fox Studios.
An exciting fundraiser tonight for an important cause.
The Boys and Girls Club has always been a special place to me, particularly the LA Boys and Girls Club.
Former Laker great Pau Gasol was among those honored tonight by the Los Angeles Boys and Girls Club. I was honored to MC the virtual event, which also celebrated Pittsburgh Steeler and USC Trojan legend Juju Smith-Schuster. Like all of us, the Boys and Girls Clubs have had to adjust their work during the pandemic to keep kids safe and educated. Tonight's event raised $146,000 for the nonprofit, thanks to all who watched and donated.
So, another content idea, honorees. And your honorees can be live or pre-recorded, and the introductions or tributes to your honorees can be live or pre-recorded. Remember, with a little bit of forethought and good editing, reported pieces can appear live. You can include videos about your organization in your content. You can have special guests, celebrities, or dignitaries to give messages of support. And again, these can be live or recorded. For example.
And I am so thrilled to be able to celebrate with you Camp Ramah in California, because for over 6 decades, Ramah has been a pillar of our Jewish community.
Humor is always a great addition, and it helps keep people's attention. So, the all-important ask. How do we ask for donations? How do we drive support? You will need to assess how you want to present the ask. You can deliver it telethon style, where it is part of every piece of content. For example, if you donate to X or you donate X amount, it will support Y and Z, and every single video goes through that. Or you can ask at specific points in the broadcast. Moving on. You can bring in speakers on specific topics. They can be a huge draw. So can celebrities, musical groups, comedians, or magicians. And finally, if it's appropriate, you can do musical numbers to keep people entertained. This one we particularly love because it was about our audience. Some of your content can include traditional fundraising tools such as live or silent auctions. These are absolutely possible in virtual formats. Raffles are a good incentive for guests to pay attention and stick around, but as you probably know, you need to check the legalities of raffles. Some platforms offer polling, which is a great way for audience participation. And of course, don't forget to spotlight your sponsors. You can do virtual tribute books. And finally, you can roll credits to thank volunteers, sponsors, and supporters. Roll credits. One more thought about content before we move on. And I am quoting someone else, but it is so true. There is no such thing as Zoom fatigue, only crummy content. So, how long should a virtual event be? It does depend on your content and the audience in general, but we find 1 hour or less is what attendees will sit through unless you're doing a concert or a creative performance. So as you begin to build your virtual broadcast, you need to build a run of show. Les mentioned putting this on paper. So our ROS is a document that will help you define the content and the timing and the assets you need. The ROS is a living document. It'll evolve, it'll change numerous times through the planning process and probably right up to showtime. We have included a basic ROS template in the handout that we are going to send you after the event. And the ROS that we use is an Excel spreadsheet, so you can modify it and make it your own. So, okay, how do you get your story in front of your audience? Which platform? Is it streamed? Is it live streamed? Is it on demand? Let me give you some basic definitions. Streaming refers to live or recorded media content delivered to computers or mobile devices via the internet and played back either in real time or on demand. So, live streaming is really like an event, live event. And when an event is live streamed, it connotes a collective experience, a sense of urgency, and a sense of happening. It really delivers the excitement of going to a live event. But here's a trick. You can also stream a pre-recorded event and air it at a specific time, tell your guests it's going to be on at a specific time, as if it were a live event. But don't forget on demand, it's very important. And it allows guests that could not attend an opportunity to view at their convenience, engage, and support. Netflix, YouTube, Hulu have paved the way for video content on demand. So our audience understands this. But what's the difference between platforms such as Zoom, YouTube, Facebook Live, streaming to your website or a third-party site? The main difference is their level of interactivity or engagement and your ability to manage the live versus recorded content going to each one of them. The Zoom Meetings platform is the most interactive platform. You can see your guests, you can interact with them, they can chat, they can wave, they can dance, they can show up in t-shirts or costumes, and they control their view, gallery or speaker. If your attendees know each other, and it is important for them to be together, then strongly consider Zoom meetings. When you live stream to platforms such as YouTube, Facebook Live, or your website, it's really like watching a television show. It is basically a one-way broadcast, and interactivity is limited, and you cannot see other attendees. So if you want to create a live event and you want to bring in live speakers from remote locations, Zoom is absolutely designed for that. But if you are live streaming to a platform other than Zoom, such as YouTube or video, you can add remote live speakers through additional software, such as StreamYard or Restream. Oy, am I confusing you all? Shake, yes, no? Okay. We'll answer more questions on that later. Thank you. Each of the platforms has its pros and cons, such as broadcast quality, graphics capabilities, and if we spend more time here, like I said, I'm going to lose you. So what we're going to do is stay in this techie area just a little bit longer because you are probably most interested in what tech is available to get your attendees to donate or volunteer. You know, the easiest thing to do during a virtual broadcast is simply direct your attendees to go to your website to donate. But that requires that they leave the broadcast to donate. And then you hope they return or that they remember to act or donate after the broadcast. Now, if you have the ability, you can encourage them to text to donate, which is better than leaving the broadcast, but it is still distracting. So let's go to Scott Solomon from Mobile Cause to show us some options on this area. Hi, Scott. Thanks for being here today. Hey, tell us a little bit about Mobile Cause and how the Mobile Cause platform integrates with a virtual event.
Thanks for having me on this call, Cindy. Mobile Cause has been around since 2008, and we are a fundraising and communications platform that is combined with our support team that will help you set everything up. Now, in 2020, our clients had to pivot to virtual events just like everybody, and having our event pages that were able to stream video from YouTube, Facebook, Vimeo for the live stream made it very easy for our clients to pivot really on a dime. And we did it from March to already planning, multiple events for 2021 for all of our clients.
So how does Mobile Cause drive donations during a virtual broadcast?
So what we have and what we use is our event page. And when we go live to your video, if you can, here it is. This is an example of one of my clients. And what the virtual page does is it makes it so that when we are streaming in, someone can click on the donate button and have this donation form pop up without interrupting. They could also do text to donate. A lot of people will watch this on their television. So they can do the text to donate while they're watching the video, and the donations show up in real time across the screen towards the progress bar to show you in real time hitting your goal. And it's all customizable. If you want to have people's names show up or their donation amounts, you can toggle all of that on or off.
Scott, that's fantastic. So in other words, guests don't have to leave the broadcast to donate. Okay, we'll see you soon. So, in its simplest form, you can invite guests, send out an invitation. You can open up your laptop and have a live event. And many people do it every day, particularly on social media channels. But if you want a broadcast quality event, you do need some tech equipment and the expertise to go with it. So, I'm going to throw this part to Mike.
Thank you, Cindy. One of the most important things when you're putting together one of these broadcasts is internet. It's the lifeblood of the broadcast. Before we ever load in and set up at a location, we do a site inspection ahead of time to determine the stability and availability of the bandwidth and the internet. We even do a pre-check with remote speakers to make sure that they have stable internet. With robust internet, it's impossible to guarantee a smooth broadcast if we don't have that. Wi-Fi creates its own set of problems, which is why we don't use Wi-Fi, because it has dropouts, freezing, slow speed. There's concerns of connecting hardware directly to the internet, so we connect it directly to the modem at the location. We check the bandwidth upload and download speed, distance we have to run the internet cable. Sometimes we've had to go as far as 500 feet, but we've got to reach that control area from the modem. For fun, you can check your own upload and download speed. Just go to speedtest.net to run a speed test. You need a minimum of 10 megabytes download and 3 megabytes upload. And that's the bare minimum. That'll work for one computer, but we often run as many as 14 computers at one time. You can control your internet, but you cannot control the internet of the people that are zooming in. If we determine we have enough internet to produce the event, then we can set up our master control. And with that, I'd like to show you our master control real quick. We start with our mixer to feed the audio signals in from the microphones and various devices. We have our Zoom host here who's bringing everybody onto the screen, taking them off, controlling that. I run a combination of things over here. There's a couple of switchers. There's computers that bring the graphics and videos on. I've got camera controls and recording devices throughout. Over here we've got our teleprompter, and we consider the teleprompter extremely important because it helps keep your host on time and on point. Now we're in this facility of Design Sound, and to give us a quick tour, we have Ryan Amon, Design Sound. So Ryan, tell us what's going on.
Thanks, Mike. Hey, everybody. It's really great to be here. I know many of you know Design Sound as live sound services. We've seen so many of you on the events throughout the years. But many of you don't know we actually have a production facility that we created to do live recording, just like what we're doing today. So I want to tell you a little bit about the space. So we are located in South Bay, not too far from LAX, so pretty convenient. Also, as far as the size, we have about 3,500 square feet of open space where we're standing, another 500 square feet of production green room, restrooms, kitchen area. So it can be pretty cozy, and we'll keep our distance here. To access the space, we've got a big roll-up door. It's at ground level. Outside there is a 25-space parking lot that's gated, so everyone can feel pretty cozy and comfortable there. I want to take you back here. We've got some other control areas. I've got Davis Jones back here helping us out today. Many of you guys know Davis. And he's working on our Digico SD7 Quantum console. Normally this would be across the street or across the parking lot at our warehouse. We have a dedicated control room there. So when we're doing live broadcasts or live recordings, he can be isolated. Back here, we have Roadhog lighting control that it controls our intelligent light system. You'll see that when we get to the stage. Continuing around, this is a bit of a lounge area in the back where you can set up some production, get cozy. And then I'll meet Mike over here up on stage.
Yeah, this is an awesome facility, and you have a good-sized parking lot, too. How many spaces do you have out there?
We got 25 at least.
So you can get quite a few cars parked here. You could do a complete event here if you wanted to, a hybrid that's both live and virtual. So tell us about the stage. You can reconfigure it.
Yeah, so here it's a Bill-Jack stage. It's about 32 feet wide, 20 feet deep. We can do multi-tiers. Send us what you want to build, and we can build it. And then kind of looking around, I don't know if you can see, we've got truss and all these intelligent lights. You can really create like a concert here. So
okay.
Yeah, that's our space. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. Thanks for letting us use this great space.
You bet. Thanks, guys.
Okay, I'm going to show you real quick over here what Cindy is looking at. This is Cindy's teleprompter in the middle here. As you can see, this is she's seeing all the guests here, so she sees you watching her. And she's able to see the actual broadcast of the program happening on this monitor. So she's got all that at her fingertips. Okay, I'm going to get back to master control. Cindy, it's all yours.
Thanks, Ryan, and thank you, Michael. Facilities like this are an incredible option to give your virtual events a different look as opposed to going from house to house, or it could be at your facility. But do not ever overlook looking at a great studio. So, Mike's back in control, and I think I'm on the right camera now. Okay. So, let's talk about promotion and registration. In many ways, promoting a virtual event, a virtual fundraiser, is very much like promoting an in-person fundraiser. You have a donor list, you might get a list from your honorees, sponsors invite guests, and you have lists of people that have expressed interest in the organization. And of course, you've launched a tremendous social media campaign. But remember, with virtual, you have a tremendous chance to increase overall attendance because you have attendees from all over the world. So you're not limited to a ballroom. So let's bring in Scherr Lillico, president of The Proper Image, to discuss some of the key elements in promoting a virtual event and working with sponsors. Scherr, it is so great to see you, and thanks for being here today. What are the most important aspects of promoting a virtual event?
Well, we've been working with nonprofits for over 30 years, and promotion and marketing have really changed. E-blasts and social media have taken over. Each organization and event is different. My clients are in several different nonprofit areas, but promotion and social media especially have the same importance, whether in-person, regular event that we used to do, or virtual. The first step is to have a creative, interesting, quick-moving, and entertaining event, as you've already been talking about. But at the same time, you have to continue to promote your organization's purpose and tell the story. You can't switch over all of your promotion to just the event. We always lay out a marketing plan that includes social media, e-blasts, publicity releases. Yes, we still want to reach printed and digital publications, and probably even hard copy mail, that old standby, if you have a more mature group of supporters especially. Create the promotion schedule and really try to stick to it. Trying to just do it haphazardly doesn't really work. And social media is not really just posting a pretty picture or a graphic piece. Try to create separate posts about each honoree, so to reach out to their audience, your host, your participants, auctions, prizes, whatever events are happening during your event. Try to include a few short video messages where you can. Alternate those with your main message, which will get them interested to either donate or register, go to your website, buy tickets. All of that comes into play, but don't let every single post ask and be a plea for money. You have to switch it up. You have to include your normal promo of the organization itself. Keep on telling your story. You want your audience to really read and react to each post, which is why they need to be different. If you do the same post every time, they won't pay any more attention to it. Always remember to edit your target audience in Facebook, Instagram, etc. I can't tell you how many times I've gone on to some of my clients' Facebook and found out that they're reaching out to anyone over 18 in the United States. That really doesn't help you as much. One of my clients has tripled their membership, and two of them have doubled their income since starting virtual events. So really don't be afraid of reaching out to see what's out there. You have to reach the masses, get as much help as you can from your board and committee and share your posts. And yes, you have to have a budget for boosting and ads. That takes place of your printed ads or things that you might have done. That increased exposure and national reach can really help you get and keep sponsors as well, because you can give them much more opportunity to reach potential clients.
Scherr, that is amazing information. So what is the key to securing and working with sponsors in a virtual fundraising environment?
Well, again, everything is different. Every client is different, but the virtual event, as Cindy and others have talked about, is really more like a TV show. We've produced hundreds of dinners in ballrooms and other locations with varying budgets, but now you're not giving them dinner or cocktails. They're not able to really network individually and handshake. So sponsor benefits and your personal outreach is one of the most important keys, what you can provide to them. First, determine why your sponsors are involved. Know your audience. We always review the current or past sponsor list and determine why those sponsors support the organization. Is it just to support the cause? Maybe they had a personal family member involved in some level. Maybe it's for networking. Maybe it's for visibility or marketing options to sell their product. Virtual events can really enhance the latter. Once you know or feel you know that, develop the benefit package based on what most of your current sponsors are looking for and that will probably bring you in new sponsors in the same field. If it's a marketing opportunity, the virtual event can really give them that much more exposure and more bang for their buck. It'll carry over to your new sponsors the same as it will for your existing sponsors. And you are probably opening up your abilities to reach new sponsors because you're now offering what can be considered a national event and exposure rather than what those potential sponsors might have perceived as a smaller local event because it was in person for a few hundred. Maybe now it's going to become a national event for many hundreds. It is critical that you track your promises and deliver what you promise to those sponsors. You can always include wine and refreshments instead of dinners, and you may be able to get some of those events or items donated. Depending on where we are with the pandemic, if you're sending out to your sponsors a great refreshment package, they can gather together maybe 5 or 10 people and enjoy the show. So it's really the benefit package and media exposure with the personal connection and outreach. Those are the key factors. Those are what you really have to follow. Your benefit package, your personalized outreach. Don't just do emails, make phone calls. And you're good to go. I mean, you'll get the majority of the support you're looking for.
Scherr, thank you so much. You are so great to work with and such a pro. So the promotion, let's talk about promotion for a second, needs to be designed to do one important thing, and that is drive registration. So how they register needs to be simple. It needs to be an obvious, clickable link, easy to and get to an easy to navigate registration area. There are truly a unlimited number of registration platforms. You probably are already using one with your organization. But just keep in mind that whatever registration platform you use needs to be simple for attendees and have a simple banking or credit card interface to provide you with the data consistently. For attendees that are registering by snail mail, you need to make sure to have a system in place to handle this and to make sure that your digital registration platform will allow you to manually add your snail mail registrants. Okay, one of our favorite questions, and the one question we are always asked is, when do you send the link? Generally, the link should be sent the week of the event, and often again the day before the event. People always seem to misplace the email with the link. These emails also serve as continued promotion for your event and countdown to the event. Many registration platforms can handle sending the link and the reminders and the follow-up. So these platforms are great. Okay, let's just move into a general category called good ideas and best practices, because we've covered a heck of a lot. So I want to tie it up with some good ideas. One of our favorite good ideas is swag boxes. So whether you send a t-shirt or dinner delivered by DoorDash or emoji paddles or cookies, everyone likes to receive something. Be thoughtful and tie it back to the event. Brand, brand, brand. And don't forget about shipping timing and, of course, the increasing cost of shipping. Now, next thing, not everyone is tech literate. We offer Zoom checks, which are lessons so that people who aren't really comfortable with virtual platforms can become more comfortable. These Zoom checks are promoted in the invitation or the evite, and guests sign up by a link or by a phone call during a very specified period of time. I happen to do a lot of our Zoom checks, and I had a great experience. I taught this lovely older gentleman how to Zoom. Well, right after the event, I got an email, and he told me how much he enjoyed the event, and now he was Zooming with his family that he had not, quote, seen in many, many months. So I was beyond thrilled with that, having done that. We have something called Zoom kits. Some people call them speaker kits. Zoom kits are a way to make your speakers and presenters look good. We check in with our speakers in advance to assess their camera, their microphone, internet strength, and lighting. Then we have these kits that have a webcam, lights, and a microphone that are sent to speakers if their equipment is subpar. Then we work with them remotely to set up the equipment. Among the best practices for a virtual event is practice. So practice, practice, practice. Set up a minimum of 1 full rehearsal, preferably a day or 2 before the event, so you can make some tweaks. 2 rehearsals are better. And please remember that the first rehearsal will take at least twice as long as the actual broadcast. You want to do something called a safety recording. A safety recording is a pre-recording of live presenters, just in case they can't access the broadcast for technical or other reasons. So then you have their presentation if they can't show up. So next, if you are going to use Zoom, recommend to your guests that they upgrade to the latest version so that they can enjoy all of the features and enjoy the broadcast all that much more. To do this, include the upgrade instructions with your registration confirmation. We did send most of you that registered at a particular period of time the upgrade instructions. By a show of hands, did any of you do it? Ooh. Oh, I got one. Yay! Please remember, Zoom, as many platforms, are constantly updating. Next idea. You're going to find that guests log on way ahead of schedule, 30 minutes or so before the broadcast starts. This is actually an area you can take advantage of. In that 20 or 30 minutes, as guests are logging on, there is an opportunity to play a video loop of sponsor logos or other material. We played just, pictures of some of our events, me sitting in a garage. You can also use this space to run a virtual tribute book. You can promote this space ahead of time by saying the virtual space will open, 20 minutes in advance of the actual event. And it is a great way to promote sponsors and other things. We kind of recommend that you include a countdown timer as your event is starting so everyone knows exactly how much time they have to get that last cup of coffee before the program starts. So, once the broadcast has started and you've grabbed their attention, it is a good idea to do a little housekeeping. You need to let everyone know the best way to watch the broadcast. For example, if they're on Zoom, you should recommend that they be set to speaker or full screen view as opposed to gallery view. And on a live stream, they should make sure that their video is set to full screen view. Otherwise, they're watching a little square. If you have set up tech support, let them know. And explain how to donate, such as use your text to donate button or the button in the upper right-hand corner. And if they leave the broadcast, let them know how to get back on. Finally, music use. YouTube, Vimeo, Facebook, Instagram have restrictions on the use of licensed music. The safest practice is to pay for music use or not use licensed music. At this time, Zoom is not as restrictive, but you will have issues if you replay your program on YouTube or Facebook. So, now we get to the elephant in the room, cost. So how much does it cost to produce and stream a virtual fundraising event? Well, like an in-person event, it depends. We're going to share how we charge, and I'm sure it's similar to other people, but the way we charge is we charge a flat fee for broadcast, streaming, and management. On top of that, we charge for content creation, video recording, remote recording, editing, graphics, and scripting. There can be equipment fees such as cameras or sound and the technicians to run that equipment. And if we get involved in registration or promotion, there are fees for that. So in short, we have to assess the scope of the project. We have done fundraising projects that were just like acting like a Zoom host, managing the remote speakers and rolling in pre-recorded client-provided media. And then we have done events that were designed, from the ground up. Our events have run $5,000 to $25,000 to $50,000. We simply have to assess what we're doing. We wish it was as simple as opening up a computer and having a Zoom meeting, but I think you can really see it's not. But please keep in mind that virtual events are generally less expensive than in-person events. So, at this challenging time, the investment in a virtual fundraiser could very much outweigh not doing an event at all. And given that, particularly here in Los Angeles, we may not be doing in-person events for the foreseeable future. So virtual fundraisers offer a tremendous alternative to reaching your supporters, staying top of mind, and driving donations. We're going to move to questions in just a second, but I did want to take a sec and just thank so much our guests, John Magoulas, Scherr Lillico, Scott Solomon, and my friend Les Gould, who is running around here. So the way we're going to handle questions is, we would like to bring you in live to ask your questions. I'm sure there are some in the chat, and my girl Jen is going to help me flush through those. So Michael's going to join me up here. I'm going to move to my 6 feet away and get to a computer. And if you have a question, either use the little hand thingy into reactions, or if you have the raise the hand in reactions, or wave at us. We want to bring you in and ask you and have you ask us questions. Okay? So let me get to gallery view. And do I have any questions?
Hi, how's it going today?
It's
you guys
going.
did a great job, Cindy and Mike. You did a great presentation.
Good to see you.
The question I had was how many fundraisers have the two of you had a chance to work on in the last pretty much 10 months?
It's been quite a few.
Probably a couple dozen.
Yeah. We've done some really small things. We did
some of them are like cooking shows, and we worked with Scherr on those.
And we've done the Los Angeles Police Foundation. We've done a couple for the LA Jazz Society. We've done the Boys and Girls Club of Los Angeles. We've done Camp Ramah. I'm forgetting a few, and we've got a bunch on the books.
Yeah.
That's great.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's getting pretty critical for people to switch over to virtual. They can't wait another year. Everybody thinks it's only going to be a couple months, but it'll be 2022 before you're fully back. So people
sound like a bunch of physicians. You sound like some physicians I talked to that are predicting 2022.
Well, we'd all like to do in-person sooner than that. I think we miss handshakes and hugs a lot. But we've got to, I hate the P word, but we've got to pivot, people. And that's what we've been doing. So thanks, Jonathan.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to look in the chat real quick just in case. I've got nice compliments for Les. Live bidding. Yes, Peter asked something about live bidding. Yeah, there are some third-party companies that are working primarily on Zoom, and they can actually do live bidding. So they are out there. We personally have we've been involved with some silent auctions because those are done ahead of the broadcast. And silent auctions have been online for a long time, so it's working out really well. Live auctions are a little bit more challenging, but there are a couple of auctioneers who are doing a really good job with it. Oh, how much? Okay, George, can I bring you up to ask your question? Give me a second. I'm going to bring you up, unless your camera's not on. So hold on a second. There you are, George. Hi, I'm going to ask you to unmute, and then we're going to add you. Hi, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. I hope you can hear me.
We can. Nice to see you. Ask your question.
So how much lead time do we need to prepare for an event of that magnitude? Say we're looking for an event in July. When do we begin prepping with your team?
How does tomorrow sound?
Well, I think the more time you have, the better. Ideally, probably 90 days out would be a good
Minimum.
time frame. That's enough time to acquire your honorees and to start shooting videos and start planning what it takes to put it together.
I think one of the best things you could do for yourself, though, and one of the things we drive is, of course, we'd like to come out and film everything live and do all of that, but get all your media assets together. I think one of the things that has been really helpful to us and to our clients has been the repurposing of existing video content and your archives and things like that. I also think because nonprofits also have sometimes boards that are very involved in these types of things, when you start has a lot to do with how your board and your staff move. Do you make decisions quickly? Do you not? Because does it have to be a community decision, or do we put 2 or 3 people with us writing this content? So I hate to put it back on you. The more time, the better always. I think our minimum is 90 days that we would like. We have done things in less. But boy, it's a lot of work because it's one thing to write the script, but everybody, I have to say, this cracks us up. We go and we shoot something, and then 30 minutes later, can I see the edited copy, please? And we're like, no, because we need time to edit. We work with multiple editors, so there's a lot to go into it, but a minimum of 90 days.
And it depends on what the event is. We've done some that we've only had a few days to prepare for.
Yes, that's true.
Yes, so it depends, but it's certainly better the more time you have.
Yeah. Thank you, George. Nice to meet you. Lauren Epstein. Okay, give me a second to find Lauren. Lauren Epstein. Let me go to the next page here. Can you spotlight Lauren up on the stage for me? I'm not seeing her. And unmute her.
She might not have her camera on.
Does Lauren have her camera on?
No.
Okay.
Oh, there she is.
Hi. How are you? Ask your question.
Thank you. This was really informative. So I just want to start off with a huge thank you to you guys. This is
Thank you.
Cool. My main question was just about the platforms. When you spoke about Mobile Cause and how there was the donation button that was included with the video, do you have your guests doing the login and the registration and everything through, let's call it Zoom, if we want it to be more interactive? Or is that whole platform then switched to Mobile Cause where the whole production takes place over there?
This is kind of an important thing. Mobile Cause, this is where we started. I could see people's eyes glazing over when we talk about platforms. In order to use something like Mobile Cause with a clickable on-screen donate button, you have to stream, not do an interactive like Zoom. So you could use Zoom. Here's how it goes. You could use Zoom, and Zoom then has to go to YouTube or Vimeo, and then it has to make a left turn and go to Mobile Cause. And then Mobile Cause lays all that over, and your guests are actually viewing on Mobile Cause. So one of the things that and like I said, this is a seminar in itself on the platforms. So where you register is a really good consideration, because you, for example, could do everything through Mobile Cause because that's the end placement. Or if you choose not to use a platform like Mobile Cause, but just want to Zoom to YouTube, then you would probably use whatever registration architecture either you're already using or we bring in another one, whether it's Eventzilla or something like that, okay? You could also just use the Zoom registration platform. If you're just using Zoom, then use the Zoom registration platform. But the considerations are, what is the end product interactivity with the donation architecture? And then we would work back from there. Does that answer your question?
No happy medium of having.
No, and I have to tell you something, that is the thing, you can ask Michael.
That's something we haven't really researched, and that's the one presented by Zoom itself.
Yeah,
Zoom. I forget what it's called.
Yeah, this is the interesting thing about this space. Every other minute, something else is happening.
Fast, yeah.
For example, I'm in love with StreamYard, which is a streaming software. StreamYard got bought by Hopin, which is a registration architecture this past week. I'm like, well, what does that mean? So this is a very evolving space right now. And I can tell you one of the events we did, from the time we started planning to literally a week before, we changed something, the architecture, so to speak, in it. We were able to do it because they were handling registration separately, so that was fine. But we literally went from a Zoom meeting to a streamed platform. So and things change for reasons. I wish there was a happy medium. I go down that rabbit hole every week looking. Okay?
That's great. Thank you so much for your help.
Okay. Jen, is there another question? Or, yeah? Oh, Jennifer Newmark, where is she? Would you bring her up on? Oh, there she is, but her thing is not on, so we can't spot. There she is. Here, I'll bring her up.
We've got a lot of shy people out there.
And I'm going to ask you to unmute Jen. Okay, there we go. Hi.
Thank
Straight?
you thank you for taking care of this. This is great. I
Thank
have a
you.
question kind of about the box and the t-shirt giveaway and those gift bag giveaways. I mean, does it really make sense from a financial standpoint to output all of that, those things to send? Do you feel like you're going to get any more donations?
Depends on your donor.
It depends on your donors, and how a number of our clients are using them is based against donation levels. So your gold sponsors get the box with the Yeti and the cap and the emoji things and the birthday cake and whatever. And your other people just get a free ride. You get nothing. But, it's like anything else. When you are putting together an in-person event, it's do we do a VIP cocktail reception for our gold sponsors? It's really the same conversation. So, and I have to tell you something, these boxes I'm sad to say, have gotten very expensive to give really nice things. But if you have, 25 key sponsors, it might be worth it. And you can get beautiful printed boxes in smaller quantities now, things like that. So, these are considerations. But I would look at it how you treated your in-person sponsors and see if it makes a financial sense to do something for them because they're not with you in the room. There are a lot of people, I think one of my favorite ones is a lot of people are sending out like DoorDash certificates and saying, please order dinner. Shipping wine is a whole thing in itself with liquor licensing and everything else. But they'll send out a thing, please order a dinner from such and such and enjoy it during the event. So you could probably contain that and send it in a, FedEx instead of a, $35 UPS box or whatever.
Why don't we do a quick case study? John Magoulas is still
John,
here.
are you still on?
John, why don't you tell us about your swag
Wait, let me bring
boxes?
John in.
We'll bring you up here in a second.
Yeah,
but,
John did gorgeous boxes.
Yeah, John.
Wait, I got to go to gallery view. There you are, John. Okay.
And tell us what the responses were, too.
Okay.
So our boxes arrived like 5 days before our event. So it was already there for our event that my phone blew up from our donors and sponsors on how grateful they were to receive the beautiful boxes. And our boxes were all designed. It had our leadership in it, had our honorary committee in it. We highlighted our honorees. So we utilized our box kind of like what we would have normally used our program for. And then we included, because we did not include food, because we knew that we would be in a different catchment going virtual. We had people from here all the way to Israel participating in our event. So we did it based on a wine and cheese type of theme. And we had the 2 small Yetis with our logo on it, a small cheese board with the tools, and a wine stopper with our logo, and also some phenomenal dark chocolate with our logo embedded, and really got very positive feedback. We included a letter from our chairs as well as a remittance envelope for those donors that don't necessarily go online to make their gifts, and those that were motivated to give more. And when we started, I forgot to share, I just want to share, we raised over $400,000 at our event, and we had over 305 windows at our event. And I think that's an important piece. Wow. And I will just say, working with Cindy and Michael, there is no better team.
We paid him well for that.
Bring him up full screen for that.
I was stressed. I'm not an easy person, but
Oh, you are.
they created an incredible program for us, and I would highly recommend doing the boxes. I think it's worth the money that your organizations can spend on your donors. We didn't do it for everybody. We did it at a certain level.
Now, John, it sounds like you did all your own, branding on there for Camp Ramah.
Well, I was going to jump in. John, actually, if I could share, John, if it's okay, your little secret, because they were amazing. John actually has, and this is how amazing the remote virtual world is, John actually works with a company out of Chicago to make those, and they were incredible. John, I know John loves those guys, so I'm sure he's happy to share their contact information, but it takes a lot. I mean, I do a lot of my own branding and stuff like that because we've done that for years, but I met with these guys with John, and I was like, oh, I would use these guys. They're great. So does that answer your question, Jen?
It does. Thank you so much.
Oh, cool. Okay. My Jen, do
Thank
we
you,
have?
John.
Thanks, John.
Welcome.
And do we have any more questions in there? Okay, so you want to tell me the question? Oh, can we share recommendations for small and large size auctions because there are so many online?
Might need to bring John or Scherr back, see who they used.
Well, I can tell you that Mobile Cause actually has a silent auction partner that they use. And John and Scherr, if you're still on, if you could drop anybody's name that you have in the chat. I have to say only a couple of ours have had silent auctions. They've been very successful, but it's not one piece that we handled for them, so I'm not as intimate with it as I'd like to be.
You want to bring John or Scherr up, or both of them? And
John or Scherr, do you want to share that with us? Let's see.
Let's get, there's Scherr. We'll get Scherr's first.
Scherr, do you have a silent auction person that we like or recommendations there?
Well, we do auctions in-house quite often. We also bring in a few outside companies, and I can give you a couple of pieces of information on that. The one issue right now, of course, with the pandemic is that we're reaching out right now for 2 of our clients for auctions, and a lot of the companies are really limiting what they're doing. So by going with a company that can either has that already established relationship with resorts and hotels, so on and so forth, I think it's going to be changing quite a bit. And a lot of the clients that I have are using consignment items. But the personal outreach is such a big part of this. If you've got an auction committee with 10 people on it and they can each get 3 or 4 great items,
I need to bring.
You've got it, so that works really well as well. But there are several companies doing it. It's just getting a little more challenging to get the items donated right now because so many of the restaurants and hotels are closed, airlines are limited, etc.
So maybe you can email the recommendations and we can put them in the.
If you email them to us, we'll send them out to everybody.
Email. Yeah. John, who are you using?
We worked with, and Marin's on as well. Marin's my associate that works.
Hi, Marin. Hi, Marin.
And Marin oversaw the silent auction. And we did our silent auction 2 weeks before our event. It was a virtual, and we did it based on camp experiences. So we sold different camp experiences, and we worked with Mobile Cause, and I guess it's Handbid. With them. So our salesperson from Mobile Cause helped us do that. Marin, you want to add because you manage that?
Yeah, and how successful was it also?
Yeah, I'll just add that I think what made it successful is that we chose things that the community was excited about and things that didn't necessarily require us to go speak with other companies for things. As John said, we did very experience-based, which really got people involved who were not necessarily involved with the gala, which was really great, and we had great feedback.
And when you say experience-based, you're talking about lunch with the rabbi.
Yeah, like we did lunch at Rabbi Joe's house, who's the executive director. We did director for a day. We did ride around in a golf cart. We did things like that, and then we did have some community members that created art or things like that that we put out there. And I think it was very special because it was created by somebody in the Ramah community to give back to the community. So everyone was very excited to participate.
And how long was the auction on for? How many days?
2 weeks.
For about
9.
9 days, which I think was a good length. I wouldn't have made it any longer.
And when did you end it?
We ended it at like 8 p.m. on
The day of the event.
The day of the event.
December 6th, 2020.
Well, it was like a couple weeks before.
We ended it a week and a half before.
Oh, a week and a half before. Okay.
Oh, so you had it really early.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I did see Scott from Mobile Causes hand up, so I want to bring you back in and see if you had something to say to us as you're driving or walking. Hi, Scott. Whoop.
Oh, we're not.
I got to unmute you. Hold on, sweetie. There you go. Can you unmute? There we go.
Okay.
Hear you great. So we have an agreement, a partnership with Handbid. So with Mobile Cause, it's an annual subscription. So you have your Mobile Cause account, and then from time to time, our clients absolutely do silent auctions. It's a full eBay type of experience. So you have a choice of items you can bid on. Some could be buy now, some could have to go until the bidding ends. You have a whole dashboard. It is very easy to set up. And the way it works is it's integrated with Mobile Cause. So the donations automatically flow the same way they would with Mobile Cause, with the receipts and any other integrations. If you have it set up so it goes into Salesforce or Razor's Edge, it's all in one. You don't have to work with Handbid. You'll just work with your account executive and your account manager at Mobile Cause to manage that. So it's another platform, but it's managed by us and it's managed by you. So we've already vetted it. I have a lot of great feedback over the years. We partnered with Handbid for a couple years. So I recommend it. If you have your own that you're already using, you could still attach it to your event page. But if you want to have the payment integrated and stuff like that, then Handbid's good. And it's based on how many items you have in that event. So, it's if you have, let's say, 25 items or less, it's fairly inexpensive. If you need hundreds of items, it's going to cost you more.
Well, Scott, thank you. Please drive carefully.
Actually, not driving.
Oh, and he's picking up the kid. That's the loveliness of remote working. Hi, kiddo. Jen, do I have any more questions? Okay, there are no more questions in chat. So if we don't have any more questions, as I said, we are going to send out an outline of our content from today, and a link will be sent out soon with this whole recorded webinar. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. We will also include the contact information for our lovely, wonderful, who I adore to death, participants. And if there is no more questions, we're going to say thank you for joining us. We wish you much luck with your events, and if we can be of assistance, give us a call. Good night or goodbye.